Alright guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this bag here, this sausage bag. I don't want a big gigantic round bulky bag. I want something that's a little slimmer line. Okay, and this is a Danish one. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to put my tarp, my basha, right? So I'm going to put that in here. I've got a chair, okay? So this is an outdoors chair. I went ahead and I took off the black plastic buckles. I put Berry compliant Duraflex buckles on here, Berry compliant 1-inch webbing, both ends for handles. This will act as a chair. This will act as a sleeping mat. This will act as something to lay on to observe. Okay, this will act to carry firewood if for instance I were carrying firewood in a regular camping scenario, etc. Right, so this is what I'm using. Then I just fold this up like so. Just go ahead and I've got it like this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my modified USMC tarp. Okay, I did all this webbing on here, right? Totally reinforced and everything. So I've got all that on there. So that's going to go in the center here, right? So just stick this in the center, and then I'm going to, because this actually will kind of protect that as well, right? A little bit of protection. And then I've got a contractor bag in here instead of a fancy, expensive liner bag. Okay. This is going to slide in here. Alright. Do this number here. Push it all the way to the end. Now what I like to do is I like to use a seam. I like to use a seam as a reference. That way I know how certain things are oriented in my bag, right? So I want to make sure that the opening where it's folded together is at the top. Okay, so when I look at this here, okay, this draw tight, and then I see there's that seam. I'm going to want to put my opening up there so that the bottom is protected more, right? You understand? I'm going to draw this down here. I'm going to make sure that my taco, the opening of my taco, is that way, and it is. All right. Okay. So I got my tarp inside of my mat, right? So we're doing recon, right? If you're going to be like a shooter, you can use that mat for shooting, whatnot, etc. as well. Now, what's next? Say, well, this is the open end. Okay, this is the end that we will open. So the things that I want to get out first, I'm going to want on this end. Things I want to get out second will be on the other end. So it depends. It just depends on how you want to do things. So on this end, I'm going to put a poncho liner. A lot of people say, well, put your poncho liner in the top of your ruck. I don't want to do that, because the poncho liner is probably, I'm going to sleep in that. Alright, so it's going to go in here on the end. I don't have a fancy swagman roll in Tiger Stripe. If I ever get a chance, I'll get myself one. But right now, it's not in the cards. So I have the Snugpak poncho liner, and this is actually it's a very good garment. It actually does insulate well. So if you're on the fence about what to purchase or whatever, consider one of these. They're not super expensive. They're not super cheap either. But they are very good underneath. Let's say you have a smock. Put this underneath a smock and you'll be warm. I guarantee you. It has some kind of a thin insulation. They call it travel light or something like that. I don't know. This actually has arms. Okay, so you can put your arms in this and then put this under something like a smock or a parka or whatnot, right? And I sewed the sides together on this one, okay? I sewed the sides together on this one. I don't need to use it as a blanket. I want it as an insulating layer in the middle. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I got the head here. I'm going to have the head at the top. So I'm going to stuff the bottom in first. Right? That's going in there. Whether it likes it or not, it's going in. It's going to go right here in the end. Alright? This stuff's pretty easily. Not too terribly tough to stuff in there. Alright. And then you say, well, how am I supposed to secure a trash bag? Well, I've got something here somewhere. If I could find the doggone thing I had it a minute ago. There it is. I can't see for my beard. Alright. So you guys have seen these. Seen these before. Okay. All it is a little Velcro dealie. Looks like an arrow. You just stuff the end of it through the little slot. And there you go. And then you draw it around tight and whip it up. Right? But watch the way I do this. Make sure I get all my stuff in there the way I want. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of push the air out a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this. See, I'm grabbing the bag. Alright, so I'm turning this. And I'm making this into like a pigtail. Right? Now what I do is I got my dealie here. Just have that off to the side. You're going to fold this in half. Alright. Fold that in half. And you're going to put that on there. You draw that sucker up tight. And you will have no water ingress. Okay? You will have zero. Because you've got to fold here on your, right? You got a two-fold watertight bit there. So I'm not pulling on this too terribly hard because, you know, you don't want to put a lot of, you know, put a lot of blah 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 in there because you don't want to break it, right? I mean, you're just securing this thing. So I've pigtailed it off. I twisted it really tight. I pigtailed it off. You know, I twisted it really tight like a pigtail. And then I folded it in half, basically. And now I'm putting this tightly around there to keep that like that. And that will float. Okay, you guys see where I'm going with this, right? If you got to float across something, then your kit should float, right? You carry extra contractor bags. They're not that heavy. So if something happens out there and you get a hole in your contractor bag, just, put a little tape on the hole, hold it up, look inside the bag in the daylight, you'll see the friggin' hole there. All right, put the tape on the inside and then put a piece of tape on the outside. All right, and then get you another contractor bag, double it up. Okay, now, so I turn this thing around, but I know where the top is because that's the top. Remember that seam? I told you, look at the seam. All right, so now I'm going to tuck my little pigtail down in there. Then I'm going to tighten that up good. See how I pulled those? Did you see that? This type here, you pull. You pull it and it gets tight. Okay? Now, to keep that from coming undone, I'm going to go ahead and do overhand. Put the bite through the hole. Alright, we're going to make a bite. Put it through the hole. You see that? Alright, so I've got myself a little overhand knot right there. Now, what about that thing could come undone? No, it's not going to come undone because then I'm going to go ahead and square it off. Alright, square it off. Ain't going to come undone. Got it? You understand? You understand, Gomer? Alright. Go ahead and knot it off, right? Just do a square knot. There you go. Alright. Now it's not coming undone, and now all of your kit is waterproofed. Okay, it's waterproofed in there. And then you just put it on your ruck, and you'll be good. Alright? We'll come back with some more stuff like this. Catch you later.